All right, guys, it's Paul Singh, the Market Speculator, with the trade report for Thursday, January 19th, 2017. The big news this morning is that Netflix is gapping up. You can't see it on the chart here. Actually, I can pull up the pre-market action. You can see it closed yesterday around 133. It is up at 142 right now. This is pre-market 2-minute candles. Hit a high after hours yesterday of 144.50. So we can watch these pre-market levels here, 142, a low of 141, and 144.50. These are good for intraday trading, but even for swings, if we see a break of, say, 144.50, that could set up the next move. Let's get back to the daily here. The reason we're pointing this out is not that we're going to enter today on this big gap up, but because the focus has been big tech. Netflix was the first big tech reporting, and it had fantastic numbers, and more importantly, a fantastic reaction to those numbers. So now we could start to see some sympathy plays in the rest of FANG, in Facebook, in Google, in Amazon, in even Apple, possibly even Tesla. The tricky thing is all of these guys are reporting in the next week or two, and that makes sometimes entering swings difficult during earnings season. We have to let the earnings play out, and even if they look good, we can't really enter, because if we're stuck holding a stock for only 3 or 4 days, we don't have much room here. That was kind of the predicament we were in with steel yesterday, where steel looked fantastic. There was X here, there was AKS here, there was NUE, and we could go down the list, MT, MTL, not MTL, but a lot of good steel stocks yesterday, things that I would want to enter, and especially if they pull back in today after this strong move at the 50-day moving average. The news they're pointing to is some stuff with tariffs, but look how it seems to always play out around these key moving averages, and that's what we were watching. Now the problem is X reports, most deals are either reporting on the 24th, 25th, or 31st. So that makes it really difficult to enter here. Now X is the 31st, and if it hadn't broke out so strong, maybe we could still enter it even with the 31st, the reporting on the 31st. It still could float up to there, and we could take a little profit in there. But when it's moved 8%, I like to have the option of holding for a while, because it could digest for a while. So makes it, again, difficult to enter these things. So a lot of you can try taking some rentals, just holds for 3 to 5, 6 days, whenever earnings is coming up, but make sure not to gamble during earnings. And this always happens when you get a stock like Netflix, especially one that we were already trading, and you think to yourself, wow, we had this nice gain, but if I'd have held on, we'd be at 143. You cannot think that way, because the gap downs are going to hurt you much more than the gap ups are going to help you. And if you go back through Netflix, it's basically gambling. You never know when these earnings breakdowns are going to come, and these earnings breakdowns will crush you. So do not get into that mode of gambling through earnings. You're basically just guessing. And even if you get the news you want, I've shown you guys this many times with Apple, sometimes you get the news you want, and it's still, price action doesn't do what you think it's going to do. So with Netflix, we'll watch it. There's earnings play patterns that I trade. For example, last time with Netflix, there was even though it's good news, you play a short here on the reversal candle. Or if it consolidates and breaks, we can play it to the long side. So there's going to be opportunities going forward. So let's get back to what we normally do here. Let's look at SPY, back up over the 9, exactly what we want to see. Banks recovered some, which helped the Russell here. And the Q's probably going to get big push today. A little slightly up at the open here, but still showing again our relative strength. Semiconductors are coming back here. Strong day yesterday. Biotech bounced back at support. Now it needs to continue. Oil pulled back hard yesterday. It is gapping. Let's see here. It's gapping almost 1%. this morning. So we're going to see a little push in oil, and then oil inventories are going to be reported today. So we'll see if we get that secondary move here, or if it pulls back in. And if it does pull back in, I might get stopped out. But oil inventories are going to be very important, and that'll also affect energy. Let's take a look at Russia. I didn't look at Russia last night, but still went down yesterday and looks like it's continuing gapping down. So we're going to stay away from that until we see a bounce back. Now it is at a gap fill here. So maybe if it were to, it's already violating the gap fill. If it was to bounce back up over that level, we could enter. And then Brazil pulled back in a little bit. We want to get at some point a good entry here. Maybe if it holds a 9 or breaks over this level. So that's the indexes. Let's look at the focus list. We've got the, we're watching all these big techs. Let's skip those for now and go to solar. Pulled back yesterday. We want to see a pullback and now a show of strength. So we're still watching solar very carefully. It's doing what we want it to do in the sense of pulling back. And same with cybersecurity. So we got the pullback to the 9. Now we want to see a show of strength, which we might get today. Pretty widespread between the bid and the ask, but looks like we're gapping up this morning slightly. And that could give us our trigger here. Pull up Fay, pulled back yesterday, and we're seeing the same thing. And Pan W breaking over the moving average. So that's really nice this morning. So maybe we take a shot there. I'll have to look at when earnings is on that one. GWPH still showing strength. And then we talked about X already. FCX wasn't quite as extreme, but it does have earnings coming up and is holding the 9 nicely. Current positions, let's look at banks. Let's start off with banks here. After that big move down, Goldman Sachs, really nice hammer yesterday, and hopefully we get that continuation here. And again, label also back in here right at support and is holding, so that's good for that. NVIDIA also had pulled back but showed some strength yesterday, and we want to see it get back up over the 9, and the stop is around 98. I'm wondering if I should adjust that here because the 50 is so close, and you want to it wasn't where at this level when I entered, but now it has moved up. We could see support there. The problem is if I stretch this out too much and it fails, I'm going to take a bigger loss than I would have liked to, but that's something to think about. If you have a small enough position size, maybe you can test that moving average, the semiconductor short. Again, we're using these as hedges. So even if they get near our stop, if that happens, that's a good thing for our longs. So it kind of balances out there. Play holding this 54 level. I'm getting awfully close to pulling the plug on this one, but it is at the bottom of the range here. So I'd like to see if it can test this range and then finally bounce. So we'll watch that one closely. And then WLB coal holding right at the moving average. We'll see how that one plays out this morning. And then finally UWT. Testing the bottom of the range here, close to the stop levels, but bouncing a little this morning. And again, oil inventories are going to be key. So that is it for the trade report. I will see you guys later today or early tomorrow.